Hello everyone and welcome back to Get Your Play Online. So my name is Annie and today we are doing a super fun science lesson and we're going to be making one of these rubber band powered paddle boats. So I'll walk everyone through the supplies that we're going to need for today. But just as a note up front, this is a good activity for school-aged kids or a little bit older because it can be a little bit tricky getting the boat to work, and so it can be a little finicky, but it's a perfect activity for school-aged kiddos. So I've got my bucket here that has all of our supplies, but the very first thing that we need when doing any sort of science experiment or science project is we need patience. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way when I was putting this boat together, because the thing with science experiments is it doesn't always go how we want it to the first time, and sometimes it doesn't even go how we want it to the second time or the third time. But that's the thing that's super fun about science, is we get to try something, and then if it doesn't work how we want it to or anything like that, then we can come back and put on our thinking caps and make some tweaks and then try the experiment again. So this might take a little bit of trial and error. So the first thing that everybody's going to need is a little bit of patience. And now I'll walk us through the rest of our supplies. So for the base of your boat, you're going to want a container. So I have something like this because you want a container that's not super deep. You're going to want one that's kind of shallow so that your motor, I'll keep referencing it on this so you can see, this part is your motor, and you want to make sure that this is in the water. So if your Tupperware is a little bit too deep, then the motor is going to be up in the air and then it won't be able to run. But for length, it doesn't necessarily matter. So mine is just a square, but if it's a little bit longer, that's fine too. You're going to need 2 pencils. These are unsharpened. If they are sharpened, just be really careful. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. We're going to need some rubber bands. On my boat, I have 3, but you could do it with 2 or you could do it with more. So it's up to you. I just have a pile of rubber bands. You're going to need some scissors, and then you're also going to need you're going to need one. It can be an old gift card, an expired credit card, anything like that, but you're going to need the thicker plastic in order for the motor to run. So any sort of like thicker plastic. So if you want to ask a parent or a friend if they've got something that you can cut up, that's all you need. So are we ready to go ahead and get started? Yeah? Okay, let's go. So the first thing that we need on our boat is we're going to start with the motor. So we're going to take our gift card and our scissors. And like I said, this is trial and error. So this part even took me a couple times too. But you're going to cut it in half down the center like this. Is this called, I think this is called a hot dog cut or a hamburger cut? Hot dog cut. So cut it in half. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't tilt down the camera so you couldn't see any of that, but we cut it in half. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a cut across the middle. We're going to take the middle section and we're going to cut across like this, but not all the way to the edge, just to about the middle there. And we're going to do that on both sides of our card. So I'll tilt down so everyone can see. So about the middle, cut it like that. So I don't know if you can see that, but we've got a little slice like that. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Perfect. So now you've got your 2 pieces of the gift card that have that slice in them. So what you're going to do is where there's the indent, where we just cut on both of them, you're going to slide them together. And they should make a little X. or a little plus sign, however you look at it. So this right here is your motor. So we got that done. We can set that off to the side now. And we are going to grab our container and our rubber bands. And so what you're going to do is, let's put, I'm going to move you down again. I know this is tricky to do and show at the same time. So we've got our Tupperware, and we're going to put a rubber band around the top, and yeah, we'll do one at the top and one in the middle. So if it's easier for you, you can flip the Tupperware upside down and put the rubber band on that way. But we just need to get, whoop. See, it takes a little bit of patience. And I've even practiced this. Okay, so we got one rubber band at the top. Oh man, I need to sneeze. Sorry about that. And then another rubber band in the middle. And what's nice is once you get the rubber bands on, you can kind of wiggle them to the spot that you want. So it's okay if it's not exactly in the spot that you want right now. And then next, we're going to grab, here we go, our pencils. And move it up so you can see. So we're going to slide our pencils through the rubber band like this. Ooh. Oh no! So if that happens to you too, it is no worries. You can just put the rubber band back on again, like so. So you slide the pencil through. And it doesn't have to be, see how we've got some room at the end here? That is totally fine. It doesn't have to be completely in the middle like that. And so then you're gonna do the same thing with the pencil on this side as well. Okay, so this is what our boat looks like so far. And I'll show you the finished product so we can kind of compare. So we've got it like this, so now we've got to add the motor on the bottom. So with our pencils at the end, you're going to put a rubber band around one pencil to the other. And you want it pretty close, as close to the bottom of the pencil as you can, like that. And you can kind of adjust it as you need to get it in the right spot. Because like I said, a lot of this takes patience and just kind of figuring out, depending on the length of your Tupperware and how many rubber bands you use. So everyone's boat might look a little bit different, and that's okay. So this is what we've got, and now we're going to attach the motor on. So bear with me, because this part can be a little bit tricky in explaining it and being able to show it. So I'm going to explain it and then do it on my boat, and hopefully that makes sense. So I'll show you guys this one as the reference. So with our motor, I don't know if you can tell, but you're going to take it like an X and slide one side through. So you've got one rubber band on the top, this way maybe, one rubber band on the top and one on the bottom. And so it's kind of, the X goes in between the rubber bands. Okay, so now I'm gonna try it on my boat. So one, oops, I forgot to tilt you down so you couldn't even see me do that. So it's easiest if you do the bottom end first, and then you can just lift up the rubber band and pull it over. So let me find an angle where you can see. So there we've got it. The X of the gift card is kind of secured by these two rubber bands. And now this part is optional. I found when I was testing out my boat. I know this looks kind of silly with the chip clip on top, but one thing that I learned in my experiment is when you put this in the water, it's very back heavy and the boat doesn't move as well because it's just kind of stuck in the water like this. So if you have a smaller container like me too, you might need to put something on the front. So for me, I did a chip clip like this so that it would balance out the weight. But again, that's something that you can put it in the water and test. And then if you need to add something to the boat, then you can do that. So how you get the boat to move is, I'm going to tilt you down so you can see this. You twirl around the gift card like this, and the rubber bands wind up. Can you see how the rubber band is getting all twisted up like that? And so I'm not going to do it just yet, but you twist it about as tight as you can get it to go. So you might start to feel a little tug on the rubber band, and when you twist it, it's a little more difficult. And that's how you know that it's nice and tight. So what we're doing when we do this is we're building up potential energy. So what that means is all of this energy is being stored here in the rubber bands from the twisting motion. And then when we release this into the water, this is going to spin around and all the energy is going to be released and it's going to turn into kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is when it's in motion. I'll release this so you can see. So we've got our potential energy here. It's not in the water, so it won't run, but when we let it go, see that movement, how it's spun around like that? That's kinetic energy. So it goes from potential, and it stores up and stores up and stores up and stores up, and then you release it, and it goes forward, and that's the potential, or that's the kinetic energy, going from potential to kinetic. So now we can move over to our body of water. So I'm gonna go to my kitchen and I've got a sink in there, but if you wanna try this out in your bathtub or also a sink like me, or if you have a pool outside that you wanna do it in, feel free. So I'm gonna move all of this over, get you set up. So I've got to fill up my sink just a little bit more. So I put a little stopper in the drain so that I could fill this up. I'm going to add a little bit more water. So the sink doesn't have to be super deep. You can kind of put your finger in to test how high it is. You just want it deep enough that the motor won't hit the bottom right here. So we're going to put our boat here over to the side, and we're going to do our twisting. And does anyone remember what kind of energy are we building right now? Is it potential or kinetic? Good job, it's potential. Oops, and so here's the other thing you have to be careful of, is you want to make sure your gift card stays in that X position. So it might flatten, and you can just adjust that. So I really hope this works, but if it doesn't, we can make some tweaks, and we'll get it all figured out. Spin it around. I don't know how well you can see this, but do you see how tight the rubber bands are? Like that? So you want to keep spinning as tight as you can go. And now you hold that potential energy until you put it in the water. And let's see if we can get it to go. Ready, set, go. Oh no! So, like I said, the thing with science is it takes a little bit of patience. So what happened there on that one is, this way so you can see, the gift cards got flattened like that, so they lost their X position. So, trial and error, what we're going to try and do is I'm going to suggest moving the pencils up a bit further, just a little bit. I got this to work yesterday, so I'm determined to figure this out with you all. And then our gift cards, we've got to move them back into their position. So move them back into the X shape, like that. Can you see that? There we go. Put it back onto the rubber bands. Remember, one goes under, one goes over. Having some difficulties putting it in to my boat. So we go under and over. There we go. So let's try this again. We're going to twist it, building our potential energy. Okay, should we try to put it in the water again? Let's spin it around. Bring our boat over. Tilt it down more so you can see into the sink. Okay, let's see if this works. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go. Did you all see that? It didn't go very far. So what that tells me, it didn't go very far. So what that tells me is there wasn't enough potential energy built up. So the more potential energy you build by winding up the gift card and getting those rubber bands super tight, the more potential energy that builds up means more kinetic energy can be released. So the boat can go further the tighter we spin the gift cards around, because it means all of that energy is stored up and it can be released into motion. So, do you think we should try one more time? Yeah? Because yesterday when I was able to do this, I got my boat to go all the way around my sink. It was super cool. So we're going to try that one more time. I'm going to try it with the boat that I made yesterday. It's made exactly the same way as this, but we'll see if we have better luck with this one. So, we had good luck when we went this way. So, wind it up. And the fun thing about this activity is if you do it with a friend, so you could do it with a friend or a sibling or a parent, you can race the boats. So you can each build up your energy and see whose boat can go further. Either go further or can go longer. And that can be super fun to do with another person. Otherwise, if you're by yourself, one thing I was doing yesterday was little time trials. So I would wind it up, put the boat in the water, and I was using my phone, but you could also use a stopwatch. And I was seeing, I did 3 time trials. So I wound up the boat, put it in the water, timed it, and saw how long it could go. And then with those 3 times, I was able to find the average by adding up those 3 values and dividing by 3. And that told me the average of how fast my boat could go, how long it could go. So I'm winding it up real tight as I can go. Look how tight this is. spin it around. Sorry, I know you guys are moving around a lot here with my computer, but I want to make sure you can see this. All right, I'm going to put it in the water. 3, 2, 1. Yay! See how cool that is when you can get your boat to go all the way around your sink like that? So if you were doing this activity in a bathtub or a pool where you can have a little bit more space, you could see how far it could go, where since I'm in a square sink, it just goes around in circles. But it can be really fun to either do with someone else or by yourself because, like I said, the more potential energy you build up, the further that it can go. So I'm going to leave my boat over to the side to dry. But I hope you all enjoyed this activity. I know I had so much fun. And don't forget, if you were struggling with your boat or you couldn't seem to get something to work, that shows you're a true scientist, because science is hard work. You got to put on your thinking cap a little bit, and if at first something doesn't work, you have to learn how to tweak things and think about different modifications and really work at it until you figure it out. So I'm kind of glad I was able to show you all how the first time it didn't work for me, and it meant I had to wind up the gift card a little more, and we were able to get it done. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed this activity, and continue to check back in with Get Your Play Online to find super awesome games and activities and mindfulness. But until next time, I'll talk to you all later. Bye!